What's going on, my fellow rock and rollers? Now, this is by far one of the most bizarre rock and roll stories I've come across. And this story dates back to May 29th of 1999. And that was a pretty tragic day as Iron Butterfly bassist Philip Taylor Kramer's remains were found 4 years after he mysteriously vanished. Even to this day, nobody is certain as to what happened to him. Now, Kramer would end up joining Iron Butterfly in 1974, and by this point in time in the band's career, they were well past their commercial peak. He would contribute to the records Scorching Beauty and Sun and Steel, both of which would be released in 1975, but they fell flat commercially. And in 1977, he would leave the group, but continued to play with Iron Butterfly drummer and founding member Bushy, and would be a member of the band's Magic and Gold between 1977 and 1980. Now, by the early 80s, Kramer decided that he needed a change in his career and dropped the Philip from his name and went back to school. He would earn a degree in aerospace engineering, which would land him a job at the U.S. Department of Defense. By the 90s, Kramer became an entrepreneur, creating the company Total Media Incorporated, which did some pretty important work on compressing and transferring data, so it shouldn't have been surprising that he held secrets and worked on technology that was heavily sought after. Now, according to a 1996 Washington Post article, Kramer was, as they put it, a student of theoretical physics. He pursued particles and equations that he believed would someday permit objects to move faster than the speed of light, warp speed, making possible travel to the stars. Fast forward now to February 12th of 1995, and Kramer was supposed to pick up his business associate, Greg Martini, and his wife from the airport in Los Angeles and drive them back to his home. But that didn't happen. While Kramer did in fact go to LAX airport, he turned around after not having money with him to pay for parking. And according to an LA Times report, Kramer had apparently called his wife to let her know that his plans had changed, but that he had a big surprise for her. And according to the same report, Kramer then called up his old friend and bandmate drummer Bushy, and according to Bush, he told him, "Bush, it's Taylor. I love you more than life itself," and then he hung up. Now, Kramer would then call his wife once again, telling her, "Whatever happens, I'll always be with you." And according to Kramer's family, he had been working non-stop and was barely sleeping in the 2 weeks leading to his disappearance. Then at 11:59 a.m., Kramer had made a call to 911, and he told the operator he was going to take his life, and also said that O.J. Simpson was innocent. That was the last time anybody had heard from him. Now, apparently Kramer's company had been hired to authenticate a tape that was being used in the O.J. Simpson trial, and the LA police had no luck tracking down Kramer for 4 years. Had he taken his life, or just simply vanished, or was there something more sinister involved? Now, former LA police officer Chuck Carter, who was involved in Philip's case, would tell the LA Times, "Something happened during that time, either in his head or at the terminal, that made him turn away, and I'll tell you, I haven't a clue. The guy didn't have an enemy, the guy was a dedicated family man, and I checked him out. Whatever happened in his head while at the airport, or whatever happened right at the airport, I've got a feeling we'll learn from Kramer himself," he'd say at the time. Now, Philip's case got a lot of national attention at the time of its reporting, being featured both on Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted. There's also been reported sightings of him and even conspiracies that Kramer was possibly abducted by America's enemies, and one U.S. Congressman, Democrat James Traficant, agreed with that theory. He even asked the FBI to investigate to determine the national security implications, but they claimed to have found nothing. Another theory believed he was imprisoned somewhere in cyberspace. Now, while Kramer may have been onto something big with his business, in actuality, his company was in shambles, dealing with lawsuits, infighting, and bankruptcy. In fact, Kramer was worth more dead than alive, as his company had insured him for $1 million, and according to a Washington Post report in 1996, he felt like he was failing his family at this point in time. 4 years after his disappearance on May 29, 1999, Kramer's 1993 Ford Aerostar van was found by hikers in a Malibu ravine, approximately 1.5 miles east of the Pacific Coast Highway. His remains were found inside the vehicle, and his identity was confirmed through dental records. Now, though police ruled he had taken his own life, his family isn't so sure about that. Kramer's sister would tell VH1, "My brother would have not left his family," while his wife told the LA Times he would never, for any reason or under any circumstance, allow himself to completely abandon the family that he loves more than life itself. And his father seemed to have better insight into what was going on with his son, telling the same LA Times reporter, "Kramer had told me a long time before that there was people giving him problems. They wanted what he was doing, and several of them had even threatened him. Now, he told me, if I ever say I'm going to take my own life, don't you believe it? I'm going to be needing help, his father would conclude. So was it in fact foreign actors or business rivals or nothing at all? So let me know what your guys' thoughts are regarding the story in the comments section, and do you remember it being reported back in the mid-90s? And as always guys, if you have suggestions for future topics, let me know as well in the comments, and be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And if you guys want to support my channel, simply watch another video, or go check me out on Patreon for as low as $2 a month. Take care.